Representative Rodney, tell me about your role on the House Judiciary Committee and your position on some of the gun bills that you've seen come through the committee.
Well, I serve as the ranking Republican on the House Judiciary Committee. I've been in that position since 2007. So as the leading Republican on the Judiciary Committee, it's my responsibility to advocate caucus positions and ensure that our values and priority bills are heard and get a hearing. And certainly this session has been really dominated by gun legislation. We all know about the tragedies that have occurred across the country. And so a lot of bills have been introduced to address gun violence. House Bill 1588 was just heard yesterday, and that's a very controversial bill because it would require essentially universal background checks for all private transactions. It's a sweeping bill, it's big in scope. I voted against it. I don't support it for a number of reasons. First and foremost is that it's a significant infringement on our Second Amendment rights. It will not solve the issue of gun violence. You know, our priority is to keep guns out of the hands of convicted felons, those that have been involuntary committed due to mental disability, and those subject to certain protective orders. Those are priorities that can be addressed in other ways through other bills that are coming through the system, through the process rather. Doing universal background checks for all private transactions will not solve anything, and it will set up citizens for a de facto statewide registration scheme, which I completely am opposed to.
The House Democrats proposed a 10-cent tax on gasoline for transportation projects. Do you think this is an effective way to fund our state's projects?
The gas tax is the primary means that we provide maintenance and operation dollars for our highway system. The gas tax is a diminishing source of revenue. Cars are getting more efficient, people are driving less. I do not support a 10-cent gas tax increase for a couple reasons. First and foremost, we need to reform our transportation system before we seek new revenue. We need to reform the way we bid for projects. We need to reform the way we define prevailing wage, which is a significant cost driver for public transportation projects. Our permitting process is broken and it adds significant cost and time to every project. So my position has been real clear from the get-go. Before we seek any additional new revenue, we've got to have some common sense reforms that will lower the cost of public transportation projects in Washington State.
We've reached an important cutoff point in the Washington State Legislature, and soon we'll be seeing a budget come out of Olympia. What sort of things are you looking for in a fiscally responsible budget? Well,
again, this is a very unique session in that the Senate is really held in Republican hands. So there's the hope that we're going to be able to have a compromise on a fiscally responsible, sustainable budget that lives within our means. I do not support any kind of new tax increases. I support wholeheartedly the two-thirds supermajority requirement to raise new taxes. And one of the, I think people ought to realize back home is that our economy is going to generate about $2 billion more for the state in revenue from the last biennium. Last biennium, our budget was around $31 billion. This biennium, it's projected to be about $33 billion. We need to live within our means, and I would advocate that we have at least $600 million set aside for a rainy day reserve fund that we can draw upon if the economy turns south again. We need to have a priorities-based budget that fully funds K-12 education, that protects the public through a strong commitment to public safety and protects the most vulnerable. We can do that within $33 billion and set aside an additional $500 to $600 million for that rainy day fund. There's no need for new taxes, no need to suspend or alter the two-thirds requirement for tax increases here in the legislature. We need to be fiscally responsible.